What's up, people? See if this does this. This did this last week where it just cycles and cycles and cycles and boom, we are in. It loaded it. I can see if people join and comment. Yay. All right. Give it a minute or two. We're going to go start talking. I'm going to ramble tonight. This is a topic that a lot of people get wrong. Absolutely wrong. All right. I'm going to post, there's going to be a file that gets posted in the file section of the group after this chat. Please go take a look at it. It's going to kind of be a breakdown of everything we're going to talk about tonight and what oxidative priority is and why it's important. All right. It's something that you can use as your own reference when trying to understand your body. All right. When you pop on, go ahead and say hi. I'm going to get started because it is 2 minutes after 7. All right, oxidative priority. All right, basically, this is what happens when you eat food. Your body processes things specifically in different orders. Okay, now remember when we're talking about the body, nothing is linear. So, yes, we're talking about the order in which your body processes nutrients. Okay, that's what we're talking about. This thing, then the next thing, then the next thing. But please understand that in actual application, this all kind of happens at the same time. Your body's multitasking, it's doing a bunch of different things. This is what we're talking about. That's why this is called the priority, the oxidative priority. What does your body give priority to when you eat food? Okay. This is important because, sorry, my glasses are all foggy. This is important because what you eat matters. This is another example, one additional example among the many that kind of throws calories in, calories out on its head. Okay? Because it's not always about calories. We know that when we talk about calories in, caloric surplus, caloric deficit, we know that that is not 100% accurate because protein technically isn't fuel. So we don't count for the most part, the calories that we eat from protein don't count towards our overall calorie intake, just the calories that we eat for fat and carbs. Okay, so just that in and of itself is an example of how calories in, calories out isn't really a thing. Okay, overall calories can play a little bit into what's going on in your body, but not as much as people think. Okay, here's another example: oxidative priority. The the way that your body processes. Now, I'm going to use some very specific words when we talk about this. Okay, the way that our body processes specific macronutrients. Okay. I'm not saying the way that our body burns fuel. Okay. Please make that distinction, write it down, take some notes. Okay. Most people talk about or reference oxidative priority as how your body burns fuel. Okay. That cannot be what this is because it talks about protein. As a macronutrient, protein has a priority in the order of things that happen in our body that the body decides it wants to process protein when it's taken in. So we can't just talk about burning fuel because protein is not a fuel source, a primary fuel source, unless things are going really wrong. Okay. So this isn't about how your body burns fuel. And because that's how many people talk about oxidative priority, they get things a little mixed up. Okay. So wording matters. Okay, the English language matters. We're talking about oxidative priority as the order in which your body processes macronutrients. Okay, that is what oxidative priority is all about. Okay, here's the deal. All right, here's the order. Okay, the order in which I'm going to go down the order, then we're going to talk about it. The order in which your body processes macronutrients. The first thing that gets processed, and think about it this way. If I ate a meal, if I'm eating a complete meal, I got a glass of wine, I've got some water, I've got a steak with potatoes, right, with some butter. Okay, I've got all of this stuff, all the macronutrients here. Okay, What is my body going to process first? And that's kind of how I want you to think about this. Okay. I put all that stuff in my stomach. My body's going to go, hey, what am I doing with what? Okay. That's what we're talking about. All right. The first thing, alcohol. The second thing, exogenous fats or ketones. The third thing, protein. Okay. The fourth thing, carbohydrates. The fifth thing, body fat, adipose tissue, and then protein again. How does protein get put on the end? How is protein in there twice? We'll talk about that. Okay. Alcohol, fat that you eat, protein, carbohydrates that you eat, fat from your body, and then protein again. Hmm. All right. Let's talk about it. Alcohol. All right. One of the things you're going to notice is that one of the reasons, one of the factors that goes into our body's decision on what to utilize and process first is the body's ability to store that macronutrient or that substance. Okay. So, for instance, the body's ability to store alcohol is zero. We don't have the mechanism to store alcohol. We need to get rid of it and use it for energy, get rid of it through our urine, whatever it may be. We got to get it out. There's not we can't store it. Can't sit here. Okay, it's not good. It's toxic. Okay. But on the converse side, we have almost unlimited ability to store fat, almost unlimited ability to store protein. Okay, think about those. So those are going to be lower down on the list than alcohol is. Okay, so that being said, alcohol. Most people think that alcohol is not good when you're trying to lose weight because it's got carbs. Okay, what if I told you that alcohol is not good for losing weight because alcohol hijacks the entire metabolic process? Has nothing to do with the carbs. Okay, the carbs don't help because if you do drink a drink, let's say you have a mixed drink that's got a ton of sugar, simple syrup or something like that in it, and you do drink it, not only are you drinking the extra carbs and the sugar and the fructose and who knows whatever else, okay, but because it's coming with the alcohol, literally all of that sugar is going straight to your hips. Literally, it's going straight to your hips because your body has to process the alcohol before it can process anything else. Alcohol hijacks everything that you were trying to do to lose body fat. Sorry, it's just that's how it is, guys. Okay. It has nothing to do with ketosis, it has nothing to do with anything else. When you drink alcohol, you are hijacking your metabolic process, period. Okay. Hijacking it from the standpoint of not allowing your metabolism to utilize the materials it wants to utilize because alcohol takes the place of all that stuff. Okay. Your metabolism is still working. I'm not saying you're breaking your metabolism. What you're doing is you're telling, your metabolism, telling your body, don't burn any carbs, don't burn any fat, don't even use any protein, right? Drinking alcohol is a catabolic process. It breaks your body down because it doesn't allow you to build while you have alcohol in your system. Okay. So it's not just about burning fuel, it's also about being able to build muscle. Drinking alcohol is toxic to our bodies. If you want to increase lean mass and lose body fat, you will not be drinking alcohol. Or if you do, you'll at least be recognizing what it's doing and do it in moderation or to a point where you can enjoy yourself every once in a while, but it doesn't affect your overall progress. Okay. So that's where tracking, keeping an eye on what you're doing and how you're doing, body composition scans, all of that kind of stuff. You can tell if the alcohol that you're drinking is holding you back or not. All right. Personal experience. Personal experience. Okay. I went 3 weeks, 21 days, 2-1, 21 days that I went, okay, and stopped drinking alcohol. I was doing 3 to 4 glasses a week, okay, every other night, a couple of nights in a row, whatever. I'd come home and drink a glass of bourbon, right? I stopped doing that for 3 weeks. That's it, just 3 weeks. I lost 10 pounds of fat in 3 weeks. Literally, no muscle. I lost 10 pounds of fat in 3 weeks just by stopping alcohol. Okay. It is absolutely amazing the effect that alcohol has on your body's ability to work. So watch it. Keep your eye on your alcohol. It will make a difference. All right. Enough on that. In case you didn't guess, I'm really hot on people not drinking alcohol because there's nothing good about it. All right. The next thing we have is exogenous ketones. Okay. This is where it's kind of a boom moment for people when we say, if you eat fat, you can get fat. But keto is a high fat diet. Well, have you ever been stuck? Have you ever had a plateau or a point where I just can't lose any more fat? It's just not happening. But I have a bulletproof coffee and I put half a stick of butter on my steak and I put MCT oil in my shake and okay, stop. All right. If you are putting fat in your face, your body can't burn the fat that's on your body. Okay. So it is very important to understand how that process works. This is not new stuff. This is not new, guys. Yes, the ketogenic diet is technically a high fat diet. It's a high fat diet when you compare it to the standard American diet. Okay. When you compare it to maybe paleo or whole foods, or whole 30 or something like that. Okay. But in general, because it's a high fat diet, doesn't mean you need to add fat. Okay. There's a difference between eating more fat than most people and then adding fat just because you have to get fat to be in ketosis. Not a thing. Not a thing. Okay. Please remember that. Not a thing. Okay. Your body will burn alcohol, then your process alcohol, then your body will process exogenous fats. Okay. If you put fat in your mouth, your body has to process that. Think about it this way. If I'm trying to go, if I'm going fishing and I have a couple of worms, okay, and the worms in that cup are my body fat. All right. I'm sitting on the edge of the shore. I'm sitting on the edge of the shore. I'm picking a worm. I put it on my hook. I throw it in. Okay. Fish catches it. Cool. I get a fish. Get another one. Throw it in. As I go over, as time happens, those worms are going to go down. I'm going to lose body fat because I'm using up the worms. Okay. What happens if my son comes over and says, "Hey, Dad, look at all these worms that I caught," and dumps them back in the cup? What do I have to get first? Now they're at the top of the heap. I got to get rid of those worms first before I can get to the worms that were there to begin with. Okay. Exogenous fats are going to slow down your process. Okay. Slow down your progress. Keep saying process instead of progress tonight. All right. So keep that in mind. All right. The next thing, protein is the third thing on the list. Okay. Protein is processed next. Now, protein is processed. The use of what the body's the use of the macronutrient being processed plays a huge role in what's happening with our body. Okay. When our body processes alcohol, it's using it for energy. It's converting it to fuel. It's helping our body move. When our body processes exogenous fats, it's using it for energy. It's fuel. Okay. When our body processes protein, it's using it for cellular repair and uh, metabolic function. Okay, muscle protein synthesis. It's using it to help our bodies function and give it the tools it needs to do the work, not the energy it needs to do the work, the material it needs to do the work. Okay, it's like a car. It's giving it the oil and the lubrication and all of those things to make the engine run, not the gas. That's fat and carbs. It's giving it all the other things to make the engine run well. Okay, so cellular repair, muscle protein synthesis, and metabolic function. That's what protein is processed for when it's processed. The first time, the first time, okay? Not fuel. Remember that, not fuel, okay? The next thing, fourth thing on the list, carbohydrates. When we eat all that stuff, we eat that steak and potatoes and butter and wine. If we have that meal, right? The the wine processed first, the butter on our potatoes processed second, okay? The meat processed third, okay? The potatoes processed fourth, right? Carbs are processed we have a little bit more storage, about 500 grams that we can store uh, in the blood and liver, right? As glycogen before we have to push it to body fat, all that kind of stuff. We talk about storage. There's a little bit more storage for carbohydrates than there is fat that we eat, right? Our body has to get rid of it um, before it turns it into fat on our body, right? Which is a good thing. Good point to remember. If you eat a lot of fat, it can go to fat as well. It's not just carbs that turn into fat, guys. If you eat fat, it can be stored as fat as well. Remember that, okay? All right, so carbs, we use them for fuel. They're turned into glycogen. They can be used, okay, bing, bang, boom, all that good kind of stuff. But most of the time, because of all this other stuff, like we said with the alcohol drink, right? If I'm drinking a sugary drink, the alcohol is taking over, that sugar is going straight to my hips because it's lower on the list. It's not going to process until the alcohol is gone, all right? So the same thing. That's why when we talk about eating things and we eat carbs and fats together, right? The fats are going to get processed first before the carbs. Okay. So that's why it's usually not a good idea. It's although most of what give us when you talk about carbs, right? We talk about bread and butter, pancakes and butter. It's always butter. It's, waffles and butter, butter, because butter is amazing, right? Butter is awesome. Um, I would rather have you just eat a stick of butter than do the carbs because it's just excess. You don't need it anyways. All right. So that's where carbs fall on the list. Again, carbs fall on the list after alcohol, after fat that you eat. Okay. But it comes on the list before body fat. For all intents and purposes, guys, when you look at this list, I'm going to post it in the files section, or I'll put it as a comment on here, but I'll also put it in the files in the group. Okay. When you look at this list, for all intents and purposes, fat, body fat, adipose tissue, what's on your belly, your butt, your arms, your back, your legs, whatever, is the last thing on the list. It's the last thing on the list. Okay. That means you got to limit and moderate all of the things in front of that before your body gets to say, hey, I've got this excess fuel I need to do something with. Let's process that and do it. Okay. That's why keto, that's why carnivore is what it is. Okay. Because we're giving our body a chance to learn how to burn the fat that's on our body, and we're giving it a chance, and we're teaching it at the same time. Okay, so that that's why when people start keto, okay, when you start keto, when you start carnivore, if you're adding fat to everything, it's awesome, and you're gonna notice some changes because your body's getting efficient at burning fat. Okay. You're priming the pump, you're getting it, you're teaching your body, hey, I got all this fat I can burn. If you learn how to do this, it's good for you. You're healthier, you feel better, you have more energy, you get more energy per gram, all that good stuff. Okay. There's going to get to a point, you're going to get to a point where your body is efficient at burning fat. But if you keep shoving the fat in your mouth, it's never going to get efficient at burning it from your body. There's a trade off and there's a time to stop. Everybody goes through this. Everybody goes through this. I went through this. When I first started carnivore, okay, I was a bulletproof coffee guy. I was a put butter on all my stuff. And then I got to a point where I'm like, I'm not losing anymore. What's going on? And then I said, well, let me try not eating fat. I saw this stuff. I got this. I don't even know where I first saw this. Um, but it is, there's a good explanation of this. If any of you guys have gotten Maria Emmerich's the keto book, there's a good explanation of this in there. Um, this graph that I have, I've modified, but the base is in there and it's on the internet. There's a bunch of different places that talk about oxidative priority. I started looking at that and I was wondering maybe the fat that I'm eating is what's keeping me from losing fat. So I cut it back. I stopped bulletproof coffees. I stopped putting butter on everything, and boom, the fat started coming off within weeks. All right. So just keep that stuff in mind, guys. Body fat is the last thing on the list. Okay. You cannot burn body fat if you're putting in excess carbohydrates, excess fat, or alcohol. Not going to happen. That is what oxidative priority tells you. Okay. It's just how your body works. Okay. Excess alcohol, excess fat, and excess carbs are going to prevent you from burning body fat, period. Okay. The actual last thing on the oxidative priority is protein. Again, we had it as a third thing. When protein first hits our body, all right, it wants to be used. Our body wants to take that. It's building blocks for everything that our body does. Okay. Build muscle, skin repair, cell repair, metabolic function. That's what our body wants to do. It's all of the bricks and mortar for how our body works. Okay. If we ever get to a point, ever get to a point where you do not have enough exogenous, okay, external fat that you're eating, if you don't have enough fat that you're eating, if you don't have enough fat on your body, if you get down to sub, I don't know, I'll just pull a number, say 5%, right? If you get super lean and you're not eating fat and you're not eating carbs, then your body will start burning protein for fuel. Okay. Protein is the most metabolically expensive macronutrient that your body can use for fuel. Your body does not want to use it for fuel. That is why I say that calories from protein don't matter. Okay. Number one, when you eat protein, it makes you burn more, okay, of the fat and carbs for fuel than the protein itself. Okay. So it helps you build lean mass. It does all of the things that you want to do to improve your metabolic function, which then makes you burn more fuel. Okay. Protein is amazing. It does all sorts of good things. Okay. So think about that. Protein is used for building blocks. It is the very last thing on the list because at the worst case scenario of your living in the desert somewhere, you've got nothing else to eat, and you haven't had food for days, your body will start eating itself. It will start metabolizing your protein. Okay. It doesn't happen unless it absolutely has to. Okay. You do not have to worry about gluconeogenesis. You do not have to worry about any of the anything. Okay. As far as losing protein or eating protein and having the calories count. You can't get fat on protein. Not going to happen. Not going to happen for a number of reasons. One, because it doesn't get stored as fat. Two, because it's really hard to overeat protein. One, because it's physically difficult because protein triggers our satiety hormones that make us feel full faster and stay full longer. So it's physically hard to overeat protein. But then our body needs protein so much that it is also physiologically hard to eat more protein than our body can use. Okay. So there's a lot of reasons why you can just eat protein. If you feel like you want a steak, go eat a friggin' steak. Okay. Do it. I dare you. I dare you. All right, guys. That is oxidative priority. I hope that answers some questions. For those of you watching, I see there's a few viewers on here. Um, I still don't see any comments. I love Facebook sometimes for things, and other times I don't. Like I said, I'm going to post this picture. You know what? Let me post this picture right now. Let me do that while I'm here before I forget. If I can find it, I'm going to download it. Hold on a second. Downloads. Oxidative Priority Matrix 2. All right, I'm in here. There's my live. Can I? It doesn't look like I can add a picture. Post a sticker, add an emoji. Nope. All right, I'll add it as a file. And then let's go here, files. Upload a file. Oxidative Priority, open, create a post. Um, how your body processes macronutrients. All right, does anybody have any questions for you guys that are watching? Hey, what's up, Nikki? Bangkok, that's awesome. That's fantastic. I have it on my list of things to do one of these days to get down to Bangkok. I'll look you up when I get down there. Nick, I said Nikki, Nick. Um, I hear that you guys have uh, street vendors with some all kinds of protein, animals and bugs and snakes and all kinds of funky stuff. I've heard some stories. Ashley, does the order of what you eat matter? Like eat the protein, then the carbs? Not as much. Um, it- in general, no, because it's all going to be sitting in your stomach at the same time. So it really doesn't matter. Um, I recommend, and here's for a different reason, I recommend always eating your protein first. And that is because the more protein you can get in your system early before you eat other stuff, the faster you're going to feel and you're less likely to eat as much other stuff. Okay. Protein is the most satiating food that we can have. So if you get all the protein in, and I even tell people, if you think you're going to get seconds, if you think you can eat your whole meal and that you want to go back and get seconds, double up on your protein the first time, then eat all that before you eat any of the sides, right? Game yourself a little bit if you're not used to doing it. Game yourself a little bit, eat all the protein on your plate, go get seconds of the protein. And then if you've gotten all that and you still feel hungry and you want to have some of the veggies or the potatoes or whatever else, then go for that. But make sure you get your protein in. That's where prioritize the protein comes in because that is the most important macronutrient that you need to have. The absolute most important one. Okay. If you have body fat, if you are 25, 20, 15%, 30%, 40% body fat, as long as you get your protein in, I don't care if you don't eat anything else. This is how it is. You've got fuel. You're not gonna it's not going anywhere. But we want it to go somewhere, but it's not like you don't have access to fuel for your body to use. Okay. So just think about that. The most nutrients are in the protein. The building block for everything that we're trying to do is in the protein, and it's going to help keep you from eating extra calories and things that you probably don't want to eat in the first place. Cool. I hope that answered your question, Ashley. All right. Anybody else got any questions? I'll let this go for another minute. All right, I posted that picture. Updated oxidative priority matrix version 2 is now in the group. If you go to files in the top heading, and it's actually showing up in the feed right underneath the pinned post. Okay, so that's awesome, guys. Have a great evening. Hold on. What's a normal serving size of protein? That's different for everybody, Loretta. Um, I would say for most people, unless you're really, really small person, you probably want to get somewhere between 30 and 50 grams per meal. Okay, I don't know what your daily goal is, right? If your daily goal is 150 grams of protein a day and you eat 3 meals a day, then you're looking at 50 grams of protein per meal. If your goal, like for me, I do about 225 grams a day. So I have 2 meals that are about 100 grams each. And then I have a snack or I'll do something else that's about 25 or 30. So that's kind of how I do it. It's different for everybody. Nick, when doing keto, should I really not concern with too much protein as long as the fat macros are target? Yes, I don't know what your fat macros are, but fat is a limit, right? If you're under your fat, you're perfectly. I would rather have you be under your fat than even at or over your fat. Okay, but I want you at your protein. Get your protein in. If you're over, even better. If you're over your protein, even better. Okay. And Loretta, to follow up on the serving size of protein, there's a misconception, and maybe this is something we could talk about on another call or another chat. There's a misconception about the body's ability to process protein. Okay. The whole 30 grams per meal or per time frame is bunk. Don't worry about it. Your body can process way more than that. It's gonna, it's going to use what you eat. You it is unlikely that you are going to, on the regular, eat more protein per meal than your body can handle. It is highly unlikely. And that's if you're eating 60, 70, 80, 100, 120 grams per meal, you're still fine. Okay. So don't ever worry about eating too much protein or more protein than your body can handle because your body can handle a lot, a lot. All right. All right, guys. I hope that answers all your questions. If you have any more, post them in here, post them in the group, wherever you want to, and we will get talking about them. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget the Get Strong Challenge starts April 1st. All right. If you're signed up for the app to get workouts at home, um, then once you're signed up, you're automatically in the challenge. You sign up for the app, you're automatically in the challenge. We're trying to build lean mass over the over 8 weeks, and whoever gains the most lean mass is going to get a visit from me. I'm going to come to you, do a workout with you, coach you through some workouts, and just have a good time. We're going to hang out for a day or two, go eat some steak, and all that good stuff. All right. If you're in the US, if you're sorry, Nick, if I'm not flying to Bangkok, at least not this time. Maybe in the future, but not right away. Alana, do you have recommendations on high protein meals? I have trouble reaching my daily target. Um, Eat some meat. That's really it. The meat is where it's at. So I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what your normal routine looks like, Alana. Uh, the way that I usually step people up to eating more protein is by adding in a percentage above what you normally do per meal. So, for instance, if you normally eat a turkey breast for lunch, okay, try to eat a turkey breast and a half for a couple weeks, right? If you normally have 2 eggs for breakfast, try having 3, right? So up it by half is a good way to start. Okay, the more you get used to doing that, and if you do that over time, before you know it, you're not going to have any problem eating your protein. The thing is, most people, I would say 90% of the people in the US, all over the world, that diet or have dieted or worried about maintaining their healthy nutrition, really are just in the habit of starving themselves. And we don't know what it feels like to actually get all of the food that our body wants every day, right? So I see it every day. People just trying to get a minimum of their daily protein intake at 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of lean mass, just getting to that minimum. I see people struggling. Like, I can't eat this much protein. It's so much. It's because most people just aren't used to doing it. Okay. So you have to kind of work yourself into it. So carnivore, but a light eater. Yeah. Yeah. Carnivore all the way. Just gradually try to add a little, and if it's hard, if you feel like I'm doing 2 eggs and 3 eggs is too much, then maybe don't do 3 eggs. Maybe just do some extra egg whites or add in a couple pieces of bacon or just add in a little bit more at each meal. And then don't go crazy and do it every meal, more, but maybe add in a little bit more for each meal and then do that a little bit more for 2 or 3 weeks until you're not even thinking about it anymore. And then say, hey, okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more, right? And then boom, 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 do it again, right? So you got to build yourself back up to it. Like I said, when I started, guys, getting 125 grams of protein, 150 grams of protein was like, oh my God, there's no way I can't do this. It's just not going to happen, right? We're 3 years in. I can do 300 grams with my eyes closed right now. 300 grams, boom, done. Give me 2 pounds of meat and a dozen eggs, and I'm happy. I'm a happy camper, right? So it just takes time. Just be consistent with it. Try to add a little bit more. You'll get used to it, I promise. All right, and you're gonna feel so much better, so much better. Cool. All right, guys, that's it. Peace out. See you next week.